Hey guys, thanks for checking out my channel. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, and this is a review of Goodnight Oppi. It's a documentary on Amazon Prime, just in case you have no idea what I'm talking about, which is fair, except you should, because this documentary is great. I'm a blind film critic, and I watch movies with audio description, which this has. It also has your typical normal narration that documentaries have, usually when they're talking about a subject, especially a subject like the Opportunity rover that can't speak for itself. So it's sort of a nice intermingling of sorts. Still recovering from COVID. And a lot of my videos are gonna be like that for a while. And if I did like critics picks, this would be a critics pick for me. We've had a lot of great documentaries this year, and I feel like the documentary branch is just gonna be like, here are 5 documentaries you've never heard of before, and fuck all of your documentaries. And I'm gonna be like, but there's so many good ones. Where's Goodnight Oppi? Where's the Janes? Where are these documentaries at? Anyway, this is adorable, first of all. This is a documentary you can actually watch with your kids, and your kids might actually enjoy it. Especially if your kids are really into space stuff. Like, if your kid has ever wanted to tour NASA, if your kid's, like, running around the house being like, I'm an astronaut! Buzz Lightyear to the rescue! Anything like that, then sit them down and watch Goodnight Oppi. This isn't offensive. I don't know what it's rated, but if this is rated above PG, there's something wrong. Like, nothing happens in this. They're just following a robot around Mars, and talking about their experiences and how, back at home, how nerve-wracking it is to, like, every time he gets stuck and they worry about him, and they're like, oh, what's going on with Oppi? Is Oppi going to be okay? And there's like a difference in the relay. It goes through all that stuff. So back in the day, it starts like all the way back in like 2004. They started developing, they got approved for these Mars rovers. Spirit and Opportunity. They sent these twins to Mars, and it goes through the whole process of how they sort of thought up the landings. They needed airbags that they didn't just crash and explode. They needed a parachute to help them sort of decelerate when they landed. Goes through all of that. The original design team, all the way through, the people who get to navigate the rovers. They do this thing where they do a wake-up call, where they pick wake-up music for the rovers, which is adorable. The song choices are just adorable, and they kind of treat them like they're little children or something, on like a planet a million miles away. Anyway, so it's such a nice documentary. It's feel good. There's nothing controversial about this, unless you just believe space isn't real. I don't know how to help you then, if that's your case. If you believe that space is just a construct, it doesn't exist or something like that. I don't know. You must have hated WALL-E. This is basically like a documentary version of WALL-E. It even kind of has like a little bit of a sad ending to it. So, but it's about a rover. It's actually about 2 rovers, to be fair. I know it's called Goodnight Oppi, but Spirit did a pretty damn good job too. Both of them ended up surpassing. They were only supposed to last 90 days on Mars. Both of them surpassed that by a lot. So So that's the interesting part of the story, is how they did it, what they captured when they were up there, how so many people down here on Earth were captured by their hearts, and it just, I don't know, it kind of makes you smile. It was just a really delightful documentary. We don't make enough of these well enough, where they're sort of, you do learn something, they're about something important, but they're also not trying to like shake you down and make you afraid of something. So it just is kind of this beautiful little quirky oddity. I don't know. I just love this documentary. I thought it was great. I don't really have too much else to say about it. Audio description it almost seemed seamless to me. Like, I couldn't even tell when it was coming in and out at times. I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to it. It didn't distract me, because there's a lot of talking, and then there's also like a voice for Oppi, and like what's going on and how they do, day such and such, and what that day was like for Oppi. And it just kind of integrates here and there and connects little bits of dots. I still wish we did a little bit more with the talking heads, but the interesting thing about that is that with most other documentaries, they rely heavily on, obviously, what is to come, a title card, underneath their name. So they don't always introduce themselves. In this documentary, a lot of the people introduce themselves. They tell us who they are and why they're important, how they got to be there. And you kind of get to learn their stories, even though the narrator isn't sliding in with this, Brian Smith, like, it just sort of, the way the documentary is structured makes it a little bit more organically okay. I keep thinking that that's my biggest problem with documentary narration, is not letting us know who's talking. But these guys come on, and some of them just flat out say their names, or at the very least, what they do is they start talking about who they are, like as a person and as their job. Like what it is why are they in this documentary? Why does their opinion matter? It would be nice to know their names, but at least we get an acknowledgement of why their opinion inside the documentary matters. When they talk about, well, I'm a rover pilot, and this is what I do. This is what my job is like. This is why it's nerve-wracking. And so you get sort of like a little mini interview with the rover pilot. Sometimes you do hear people's names used. There's Steve, who's like in charge of the whole thing. I remember his name. And sometimes you can match that up. So it's not the hardest documentary to follow that way, because of the way they actually just sort of allow people to explain their jobs. Because we don't always know what's going on at NASA. We don't know like what each one of these people do for a living, and sometimes they need to explain what they do. So this documentary gives them the latitude to do that, which I think is great. So really excited about that. I don't know. I'm just going to I feel like I could keep talking about how much I love this documentary for 20 minutes, but I'm just not going to. You've heard it. You've heard me say it enough. This is an absolute must watch, no matter what age group, especially if you have kids. Your kids will love it. If you have kids blind or sighted that are interested in NASA, this should be something they're watching. I know it's not on Disney Plus, so it might have like gone past you as being like, oh, is this kids programming? This is family programming. There's nothing in this film. Nobody bangs anybody. There's nothing in this film. I don't think anybody cursed There's no devil worshipping. There's no objectionable material within the context of this film. It's just a nice film to watch. I'm gonna give Goodnight Oppi an A. That was so nice and so easy. Loved it. I don't know if any of the documentaries will make it into my top 10 of the year, because it's going to be like Sophie's choicing them, and that's going to be really hard for me. But we'll see. So, that's it. If you stayed this long, please subscribe. I'm trying to get to 100 by the end of the year. I reviewed movies even through COVID, so I somehow lost a subscriber while doing that. I guess they were offended. They're like, he's going to get me contagious through YouTube. So now I need 11 subscribers. I was up to 90 and now I'm down to 89. So if you guys could please subscribe, that would be great. I also have a website, macmovieguyy.com. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what has audio description and where you can watch it. And you can go to the adna.org, that's the adna.org, and look up your favorite narrators and see what it is, what other films they've done. That's a good place to do that. So that's it from me today. I will review something else for you guys, and I'll see you on the other side.